Okay, you get these days where some books are on the shelf straight up, and straight up and down, and some books are stacked on the shelves, and why?
It's got to be H.P. Lovecraft. He's got such a brilliant way with words, wonderful adjectives, like nefandous, and he always uses blasphemous to describe the hidden mysteries of books like the fabled forbidden Necronomicon of the mad Arab Al-Hazred, and his stories when you first read them of demonic possession and changing souls and the interstices between different worlds for the 1920s, 30s when he was reading them, groundbreaking and genuinely spine-chilling. But then you read more and more of them and you realise that he's using the same tropes over and over again, but also using the same descriptions. Everything, as I say, becomes blasphemous and forbidden and well, I've run out of adjectives that I can remember, but he uses a lot of he's definitely a man who's swallowed a thesaurus. And I mean, for example, if I at the Mountains of Madness, this is where they're discovering a lost alien civilization which predates even the formation of archaean life on Earth. The whole arrangement looked like the ruins of Machu Picchu in the Andes, or the primal foundation walls of Kish as dug up by the Oxford Field Museum expedition in 1929, and both Danforth and I obtained that occasional impression of separate cyclopean blocks which Lake had attributed to his flight companion Carol. Further on, only 2 pages. Yet now the sway of reason seemed irrefutably shaken, for this cyclopean maze of squared, curved and angled blocks had features which cut off all comfortable refuge. The headlands at the stream's entrance had been boldly carved into cyclopean pylons, and something about the ridgy, barrel-shaped design stirred up oddly vague, hateful and confusing semi-remembrances in both Danforth and me. As vague is used as some kind of synonym for horrible or ghastly. And there we go again. For this latter we headed, and when at last we were able actually to touch its weathered cyclopean blocks, we felt that we had established an unprecedented and almost blasphemous link with forgotten eons normally closed to our species. And then the facing page. Before we left the rampart, we photographed it carefully and studied its mortarless cyclopean masonry with complete bewilderment. We wished that Pavani was now present. And this cyclopean massiveness and giganticism of everything about us became curiously oppressive, a bit like Lovecraft's overuse of the adjective cyclopean. So I think it's probably a good best example is from the next story, The Thing on the Doorstep, where he's at once a very great writer but also a very bad writer, and you don't realise how much he realises just how bad it is when he says, "I shall only hint at what was found at that house. The upheaval in a remote cellar storeroom, the tracks, the dirt, the hastily rifled wardrobe, the baffling marks on the telephone, the clumsily used stationery, and the detestable stench lingering over everything. That list of about 10 items is him only hinting." So, yeah, H.P. Lovecraft.
Okay.
So that's essentially £2 per pair of trousers. I like to. But if I wasn't enjoying it in that manner, I just kind of float through the wall into my neighbour's house, and just kind of watch the telly, watch Strictly Come Dancing or something like that.
Doors closing.
I'd you just put your skills to good use in that way.
So how preferable to be behind the blinds on a sunny day with a scar in the blinds, and why?
It's tough.
Ground floor.
Well, I would say that it was value strawberry angel delight, because that's 8p, but then you got to factor in the cost of the milk as well, which is not.
Doors closing.
it's you know it can be quite a lot these days. So what I go for is the Tesco Value 8p jelly, which is actually you can only get in orange flavour. Funnily enough, you'd expect it to be strawberry or something like that. But if you look at the actual content of sugar in the orange jelly, it's actually you actually get more sugar for your money in the jelly than you do if you were to buy the sugar. So, okay. So we're going this way around the precinct and then we'll... Well, you mean where do I get my ideas from? Well, that's... well, so same as everyone else really, reading other people's poetry and thinking, well that's an interesting idea, but it's already sparked something. If you're reading something and you find yourself daydreaming already, that's inspiration that you shouldn't feel guilty about daydreaming. So you run on from that, you write a version of another person's poem. I've been working on a version of Polly Clark's Walk of Faith, which is about basically a big block of glass miles above the ground in Blackpool Pleasure Beach that people walk across, and using that as it's called the Walk of Faith, and using that as a metaphor for people's faith in themselves and in religion and in humanity and so on. Obviously there's my perennial fertility obsession, which does seem to be dying down a little bit now. A lot of the time I'll wait for something to hit me, but then I attend the writing group as well, and get a lot from being forced to write in particular styles or about particular things.
Okay. Ever slipped in your sense and actually worn something out of fashion rather than purpose?
I tend to go for style rather than fashion. Or t-shirts that make a statement, like, you know, I like digital hardcore recordings, or my social worker says I'm special, or BIC, because, you know, I'm a writer, and you know, because I like the logo. So I go for things that are interchangeable. I don't really go for outfits that you'd have to accessorise in any fashion. You know, I wouldn't. I don't know how I'd live if I was a woman and I had to get earrings that would go with a particular outfit but not go with another one. My wardrobe is full enough as it is. But I certainly go for practical trousers. These were £6 from Matalan, and I like trousers with lots of zips on the pockets. And they're actually 2 for 1, so I got some of those trousers that have the even more zips, so that you can unzip them and turn them into trousers or shorts. And I think that's so. In a way, I got 3 pairs of trousers for £6.
You're right.
Yeah.
What about the emotion of? What about the emotion of having skipped seeing 2 castles?
Well, the hardest thing about the whole process is not having to get up early in the morning. The most difficult part is having to continually be aware, be on the lookout for things to be offended by. I mean, that you cannot exaggerate the amount of spiritual dedication. But that's all I'm going to say. So it's tough. It's tough.